Let's talk about the red cards in Grit that have gotten the biggest updates since Grit's kind of new and improved version. This will be all of Rush's cards, so that's all the good guy cards. For all of the red cards, those are the angry cards. These are relevant as of 423 when these changes were made across the entire good guys faction, and also this is just from playtesting up until that point. So, overall, for Grit, there have been some terminology changes, some syntax changes, and that would be that discard is changed to bury, face up and face down now have a little dash for professionalism, as far as I can tell. That's all it is. And then the tenacity had a bunch of changes, actually. So tenacity now, instead of parrying, which is blocking attacks with your tenacity cards, instead of flipping them face down to prevent damage equal to their cost of the card that you flip face down, instead now you can choose per attack to either per attack per card in your tenacity to exhaust it to prevent the damage or flip it to prevent the damage. Meaning attacking is a lot more valuable than blocking is. Enhancements now go into your tenacity instead of into your play area. All of their actions and passives and reactions and defense abilities are all still relevant and can be activated from the tenacity line as if they were in play, just like before. Ultimate attacks can be done once per turn, and you can discard as many cards as you want from your tenacity when you make an ultimate attack, but only the cards that are ready and face up will actually contribute their cost to the ultimate attack damage. The armory deck has been removed. No longer will we see armory items anywhere or being referenced at all. And then the armor hero stat is also being removed. And with that adjustment, we'll see a lot of cards and power, attack power of cards be brought down by about 2. Pretty much across the board to match this armor removal. So first, Rush, great new art. It's art we've had, but it's the concept art, which I've chosen to use instead, which just makes it feel so much better in every way. It just feels so good to see the idea come to life. So let's start with the left side. The left side is the old card, and the right side is the new updated card. Left side, we see that we have 3 attack, 3 armor, 4 hand size Rush. And then we see he's got a forced ability that says on basic attack, place the top card of your deck into your tenacity face down. Rush gets +1 attack for this attack. So this one is largely unchanged actually to the new version. So let's go ahead and take a look, and that would be that this has 3 attack, no armor, that's the little symbol in the middle, and 4 hand size, stats pretty much the same except for the armor. And it has a forced R for reaction. On basic attack, place the top card of your deck into your tenacity face down. Rush gets +1 strength for this attack. So one of the other changes is attack value. That red bubble value is now strength instead. I think that hand size will also change at some point to be a little bit more thematic, but I don't know what that is yet. And the reaction is when something happens, that's when you do this thing. And so the idea is that this R, whenever you see it, you should be have the presence of mind to say, if the thing it says happens, I can do the ability. Or in this case, it's forced because of the exclamation point in the red triangle that you have to do this. So overall, largely unchanged. Rush is a generally very good character. So I believe that he will be largely unchanged, at least in his hero ability, for a long time to come. Okay, this is Rush's neutral card. Neutral cards can be played in any deck, regardless of the colors in your party. 1 cost neutral attack. This, on the first side, let's see, it is discard 1 of your tenacity cards to deal damage equal to the cost of the top card of your discard pile. In this case, the discard pile had a set order. You couldn't change the order of the discard pile, meaning the way that this card worked is if you had a face down card, you could discard that and then you still reference the cost of that card because now it's the top card of your discard pile. So if you discarded a 3 cost card, you'd be able to deal 3 damage regardless of if it was face up or face down. So how did that change? Well, reveal 1 of your tenacity cards. Deal damage equal to that card's cost, then bury that card and this card. And then as a reminder text, you may reveal a card that is face up or face down. So in this case, the card functions the same overall, but because now we don't really care about the order in which your discard pile is in, we just reveal the card and then deal damage equal to that cost. So we don't have to do this kind of weird sidestepping of the rules to get the correct output of the card. So in this case, because this is a neutral card and it's very aggressively costed at 1, we're actually going to bury it, so that's discarding, and then we're going to bury this card as well. So at total, debris actually removes a card when you play it, as opposed to adding a card. So there's a 2-card differential in your overall tenacity line when you play debris, but you get kind of a free, very cheap attack in, depending on what card you're revealing. And because we remove the armor value, this card always will be able to deal damage unless you discard a 0-cost card. So overall, I think debris's damage went way far up, and then overall, its impacting your tenacity went way far down, and I think that that's a good trade-off for a neutral card. Neutral cards are not meant to be good. They just overall not. They're meant to kind of fit a niche, and this one fills the niche of removing face down or kind of junk cards from your tenacity at a very cheap cost. All right, Smash. This is a 1-cost angry attack. It says deal 4 damage to an enemy, reduces damage by 1 for each of your face-up tenacity cards. So what does that transition to now? It would be deal 2 damage to an enemy. This attack gets -1 attack for each of your -1 damage for each of your face-up tenacity cards. So we see that overall damage reduction due to the loss of armor, and then overall the card is basically exactly the same, except for the wording of it. And to be honest, this card actually gets a little bit worse, because when you play a card, it goes directly into your tenacity and you resolve its effects. But really, Smash reduces its own damage. So I think Smash overall is a weak card, and in reality should probably be a higher starting number, so that way you can work around it better. It obviously works if you have nothing in your tenacity very well, but it doesn't work basically at any other point unless everything is face down. So Rush, really good at putting face down cards. Debris, good at getting rid of cards that you don't want in your tenacity, face up or face down. And Smash is utilizing that kind of junk tenacity that you have. So I think overall the card might need more damage to upfront damage to then be rewarded on later. So overall, the card's, I think, okay. I'm pretty I find this card pretty not unappealing, but maybe unappealing. The card is fine. I don't know what it's missing, but it has its situations in which it is good. Momentum. It started as a 1-cost angry defense, which said prevent 1 damage, prevent 2 damage instead if you have more face down than face up tenacity cards. So specifically more face down, not equal to or more. Then you can prevent 2 damage. So remember, now we've made some changes to parrying and blocking and defense. So how does that change now for this card? This is a 1-cost angry defense card still. Prevent 1 damage, prevent 2 damage instead if you have 2 or more face down than face up tenacity cards. One thing that I'm going to try to move away from as sort of a card design, game design perspective is that I don't want a player to be referencing multiple values at once. So if we look at the first version of Momentum, we're looking at 2 different values. We're looking at the number of face down and the number of face up cards. In this case, you have to find those 2 values. Obviously, it doesn't take long to see if a card is face up or face down, but it takes one more step of sort of a mental stack on a player to say that, okay, I need to define, I have 2 face down and I have 3 face up. Do I get this ability? No, I only have 2 face down. Well, okay, I can play a card, that'll get me another one. So if I go up here, and you kind of have to start doing a little bit of mental gymnastics, which is the point of a card game, but I think that this is an unnecessary part of that card game. So we're going to move into having a static number that you need to hit, just a threshold essentially. If you have 2 or more face down, then face up cards. That then face up shouldn't be there. Whoops. If you have 2 or more face down tenacity cards, that's what the text should be. So in this case, I would say that this right now card as it is easier to play and gets the more damage prevention off more often than not. And that's good because defense cards should be your main way of preventing damage. Parrying should feel kind of bad because you're losing a lot of potential damage and potential effects from your tenacity cards. Well, defense cards kind of play that role of being able to more efficiently block attacks. So a little word cleanup I need to do on my side here, but overall the card functions better and easier for a player to play. Okay, this is Rage. This is a 2-cost angry enhancement, and a little star means that it has a cost modifier. So the cost modifier, which is the star in the text box, says affinity. Affinity is a keyword that says when you play this card, if your active hero has the same color as this card, you may perform this affinity effect, which is -1 cost. It says your active hero gets +1 attack, and then it has another ability that says it's a forced tap ability or exhaust ability. When you declare a rest action, place the top card of your deck into your tenacity face down. So the idea is when you play this, your hero is always stronger, but at the end of your turn when you perform a rest, if this is not exhausted already, you will need to exhaust it, and then you will need to place that card into your tenacity as kind of a tax that you're paying on this card. So how does that transition into the new and improved grid? Still 2-cost angry enhancement with the affinity cost modifier for -1 cost, and then it has a P for passive ability. That means all the time. Nothing you need to do, but it says while ready. So passively while ready, your active hero gets +1 strength. So now there's, you have to keep it ready. And this is because if it's in your tenacity, you can parry with it, which means you can exhaust it. So basically, if you're able to make it to your turn while this is ready and you don't use it to parry, you get the benefit of having your hero be stronger. It has a forced reaction exhaust when you declare a rest action. Remember, our reaction means look out for when this thing happens. When you declare a rest action, place the top card of your deck into your tenacity face down. Overall, exactly the same card, slightly nerfed now and slightly buffed because you can parry with it because it's in your tenacity, but you can only get the effect while it's ready. So it's a trade-off there, just like any other card might be. I also think Rage might be a candidate for an enhancement that is considered unique, meaning you can only have one of them in your tenacity. Having multiple of these just seems like overall too much pressure for just a little input that the player has to perform, and I think that it can really steamroll games, just given the fact that there isn't a ton of enhancement or tenacity card interaction overall in the game. It exists, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that comes with every attack or every other attack, or is like not a premium at some point. So something to keep in mind moving forward. But overall, I think the card functions very well as is, and I would be totally happy if it stayed this way. Okay, 3-cost Angry Attack Crush. This is Rush's signature kind of card. You kind of get to play this card. This is the big, fun, good card that you get to play when you play Rush. It says, place the top card of your deck into your tenacity face down, deal 7 damage. How is that moved over to the new system? Well, it's basically the same. 3-cost Angry Attack, place the top card of your deck into your tenacity face down, deal 5 damage. So all that happened, all that we've done is a slight wording change or update, and then we've removed 2 damage, and because of the armor removal of the overall system. So overall, card is exactly the same. It does exactly what Rush wants to do, which is high damage at a cost. But the face down cards are kind of something you can use for your other cards. Overall, the card is great. I think that it's just a really, 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 really good card. And I don't see this one changing in the near future at all. Overall, Rush has seen very minimal changes, and more is just moving his current kit into the new system. And I think that is because Rush overall is a very simple character and shows a very red version of what the cards can be. So going into our next point, he feels very red. Every color should have a very distinct personality in the way that it plays, in the way that the cards actually work with each other and work with other cards from other colors. And I think that Rush feels angry, and he feels very red in all of what his cards do. It's power and aggression at a cost, and that cost is very apparent, and the power is very apparent. So I think overall, Rush does a really good job of embodying that, which I think is a very good candidate for a starter deck character. The neutral card Debris feels a little bit strong overall. I think that because of the way that we've removed armor, revealing any card from your tenacity and dealing damage equal to its cost is inherently very good now, because no matter what you discard, it will always give you some sort of pressure to your opponent. I think it feels strong in that sense, but the fact that it removes cards from your tenacity overall when you play it is very antithetical to the game of Grit, and I think that in that way, it feels a little bit more neutered in its power level. Overall, it's very generic, and that's the point of it, but I think that it could see some minor changes in the future to really give it that niche feeling of what neutral cards should be, or how I want them to be. And finally, I think the hero ability is somewhat boring in comparison to some of the other heroes, just overall in the game, because his is kind of an auto ability that you don't really get a lot of chance to interact with outside of when he attacks. It can feel, I think, that it's just very straightforward. So although I think it's boring and straightforward, I think that really fits the idea of a starter character and Rush and kind of the good guys overall. So I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing. I just see it as kind of a personality trait of the character and of the good guys archetype overall. So just something to note, because I know that I found myself saying that, not in something that I want to change, but overall just saying like, you know, I can see where we could go from here. And sometimes when you have a character or a hero or an ability that you can say, where can we go from here? It almost feels like that's a stepping stone to kind of not come back to. So just something to keep in mind from a design perspective to the next heroes. So that's Rush. He's super awesome. Very, very little changes, which I think is a really big compliment to the character and the design of it, which I'm very happy about. And of course, I'm very happy about the art, and that art for the actual cards is coming very soon. I'm really excited about that as well. So if you've made it this far in the video, oh my God, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you didn't, you got him. But otherwise, I hope that you have a great day, night, morning, weekends, whatever it is, wherever it is you are in the world. I hope to see you in whatever the next video is. So, see ya.